Hey everyone, my name is Ronald Long, and I think I found something that's going to help you, youth pastor, to be able to minister better to the small group leaders and volunteers that you have working in your ministry. Hey everybody, my name is Ronald Long. I've been a youth pastor for 16 years, and doing volunteer ministry is a big deal. And when you do it well, you get to have a ministry that's not only like thriving, but also you as a youth pastor get a chance to replicate yourself, to expand the ministry, not just like numerically, even though that makes a big difference, but also to the point to where that other people feel empowered and can do ministry because you are ministering to them. Now, the issue can end up being that lots of youth pastors don't quite know how to set up their volunteers to win. And I just discovered this diamond over here that I'm going to show to you that I think is going to be wildly impactful to you. It's going to help you understand your role as a youth pastor and how to pass off these great skills to the volunteers that you're ministering to. But before I get to there, if you have not done so, down below in the link to in the comments you can find my emergency guide to surviving youth ministry. And if you're struggling with student ministry attendance, with parents being involved, with fundraising, and like this video is talking about recruiting, finding, and keeping volunteers, this is going to be a really great resource to you. All you have to do is find it down below in the comments, or do me a favor, just comment, send me the emergency guide, and I'll make sure I get that guide to you. Okay, with that out of the way, here is a diamond for you, right? Just a wonderful, nice little diamond so that we can begin to explain how you can minister to volunteers more effectively and have them doing their jobs more effectively and helping out the ministry in total. First and foremost, volunteers need to know what they are doing. This can be really, really helpful for you as a youth pastor to just sit down and make sure you have accurately and rightly explained what you want a volunteer to do. I always found that keeping it to one page at a minimum, as a maximum, was really, really helpful, because that way a volunteer could be handed an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper and go, oh, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do. And it helps you as a youth pastor not overload a volunteer because there's just so much stuff that they could potentially do. So make sure the volunteer knows exactly what you want them to do. You want them to minister to 7th grade girls by being their small group leader over, the course of the semester, by asking questions and facilitating a small group, right? You clearly define what you want that small group leader to do. And when you do that, it is going to be really helpful for you as a youth pastor, because you're going to know, hey, I've asked my volunteer to do this, and the volunteer is going to know, oh, fantastic, I know what I'm supposed to do. Second part of the diamond is how. How are they supposed to do that thing? Now, here's the deal. You as youth pastor might feel incredibly gifted and say, I know how to lead a small group. Like, it's super easy. But a volunteer who's coming in, who's not like a school teacher or has prior experience working with teenagers, might feel extremely ill-prepared for how to lead. So the best way for you as a youth pastor to empower a volunteer really can take two different ways. If you are so gifted at being able to write down everything that's supposed to happen, that's great. Write it all down and then look at it again and summarize it so that you can tell a volunteer, hey, this is how you're supposed to do this job. And if you really don't know or don't feel like maybe that would be the best way to explain it, do the job with them first. Actually go into the small group and lead the small group yourself with that volunteer present. And then have a debrief afterwards. Hey, what did you see? Did you notice how I led that small group meeting? What did you watch me do? Did you see me talk a lot or ask more questions? Hopefully as a small group leader, asked more questions than talked a lot, right? And be able to debrief and say, okay, great. We together saw how I led a small group. So then next week, I want you to take a part of it, and I'm going to take a part of it, and we're going to do it together. And then you lead that small group together, and you can play off each other and then debrief again. Hey, did you notice some things? Like, I let you ask some questions, I let you guide some scripture. How did that feel? How did it go for you? And you'll be able to go through that process again. And then that next week, you say, all right, here, this one's on you. I'm just going to be present. You lead the small group. I'm going to be here. And then after that's over, you ask them, okay, great. How did it feel? What would you like to work on? How would you like to improve? Great. After that 3-week process, your volunteer should know how to do the thing because they've done it. You've done it. They watched. You did it together. And then they did it and you watched. And hopefully after that process is over, you also, as the youth pastor, should have a really good idea on how to outline what a volunteer is supposed to do. Might even be able to write it down so that the next time you try to train a volunteer, you don't have to go through that whole process. You might be able to hand that to them or, help train them more effectively. A volunteer knows what they're supposed to do. Volunteers know how they're supposed to do it. And then the volunteer needs to know when. Make sure they know the deadlines and the timelines. Like I said earlier, you want a volunteer to know this is what the commitment is for. It's for fall and spring, or for 3 years, or for, 6 months, whatever it's going to be. And the time. Youth group starts at 6 o'clock. I need you here at 5:45. Youth group ends at, 8 o'clock. I need you to stay until 8:15 or we clean up and help me clean up. That way, all of these when questions are answered and you know that the volunteer understands when you need them. And then this one is last over here on the diamond, but not least important by any stretch. Why? Why do they do this? And you need to be able to explain as a youth pastor more than just, hey, why we do this? Well, it's so that the kids don't get into trouble, or so that, we have babysitters when the adults are doing their Bible study down the hallway. No, you need to be able to explain. And if you haven't gone through this process of it, working out your own personal why you do ministry and why your student ministry exists as a part of your church, I invite you to the 30-day Youth Pastor Challenge. That's also down below in the description. It's just 30 days to help you get a fantastic idea for how you as a youth pastor will minister to the youth of your church. And when you know not only your personal why, but your youth ministry's why, you'll be able to explain it more effectively to your volunteers so that they'll understand how they fit into this picture. Hey, you as a greeter, help every student who walks into this door feel welcome, feel encouraged, feel glad that they showed up to youth group instead of stayed home and played video games. When you are able to articulate your why and tell the volunteer why them serving snacks at youth ministry matters, a volunteer will be able to say, oh, I know what I'm doing. I feel effective. I feel like what my role actually matters. More than that still, I'm going to keep coming back because I feel like I'm an integral part of this ministry rather than just a warm body who's sitting around. And then you'll notice the diamond's done, but we're not done with the diamond. Because if there's something that prevents them from doing one of these things, it might be a block. Perhaps this volunteer does not like teenagers. And they may not know that until they actually get into a room with teenagers and are doing things with them. And then they go, you know what? I really don't like 13 to 18-year-olds. They annoy me. And then you as a youth pastor will be able to say, oh, okay, this is something that's blocking me, that's blocking you from doing the job that we gave you. And then here is a wonderful thing that is a tool for you as a youth pastor. If you have a volunteer then who is a part of your ministry and is not volunteering or doing the role to the degree that you would want them to, you get to revisit these things. Hey, I noticed that your small group is running amok and they are going all over the place. Can we sit down and understand what's going on? Do you need to be refreshed on how to lead a small group? Or did you not know that your role is to be the small group leader, not just like a friend or a buddy? Maybe I need to re-explain the what to you or the how to you. Hey, did you not show up on time for the 3rd week in a row? You know what? I really need you to understand. I need to do a better job of communicating the when to you. Or is all this kind of are you lacking motivation? You don't really seem motivated. Let me remind you of the why we're here and why it matters. And if it's none of those things, you can ask, hey, it looks like I've clearly explained the what. we've gone through the how, you know the when, and I know you can articulate back to me the why. Is there something blocking you from being an effective volunteer? I'd love to either try to mitigate that to make you a better volunteer, or decide if maybe youth ministry isn't for you. This diamond is huge and can be incredibly helpful to you as a youth pastor for how you train and retain volunteers in your ministry. I just discovered this, and I feel like it's such a helpful tool that will be really helpful to you. And here's a bonus tip. If you're doing your job as a youth pastor and you feel like something might not be clicking, you can go through this diamond on your own for you and be able to articulate to your senior pastor, your boss, your direct report, whoever that might be, hey, I have discovered that I really don't know how to do this particular thing. Or I know I got in trouble for doing XYZ, but I really didn't know what I was supposed to be doing. Or, hey, that deadline came and went. It was never communicated to me when I needed to do it. Or I'm kind of lacking motivation right now. Can we understand why this particular task is so important? Or you can just say, hey, I don't make enough money. I need to be fairly compensated so I can do this job here, so I'm not blocked by doing this job that's going on here. Whatever that might be. I hope this is incredibly helpful to you, because to me it feels like a game changer when it comes to youth ministry. Again, my name is Ronald Long. I've been doing youth ministry for 16 years, learning and growing all the time. This was incredibly helpful to me. I hope it's incredibly helpful to you. And if you are needing to get through the next couple months in youth ministry, I've got two resources for you. Either you can say in the comments, I want to take place in the 30-day challenge, and I'll make sure I get you the link to that. Or let me know, I need the emergency guide, and I'll make sure you get that guide as well. Thanks very much for watching. We'll see you around the Youth Ministry Insider.